Oh dear.
Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.
Hi, it's Rita at the Travel Nurse Channel. It's Tuesday, a little after 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and I'm back. Usually here every Tuesday between 10 and 11 Pacific Standard Time to talk to travelers, particularly travel nurses and all the other wonderful healthcare workers that travel and as a career. And yesterday was Labor Day. I still got my red, white, and blue going on. And I thought in the last many years, 10 years or so, labor unions have been created and adapted for workers in hospitals. And that includes nurses, a great deal of nurses, respiratory therapists, various therapists, and so forth. Administration normally is not part of the union, although they may be in favor of the union and so forth. They kind of have to remain outside that realm. So it's an interesting process. But where did this all start? When did we start celebrating Labor Day? So I was born in the 50s, the 1950s, and Labor Day was always a holiday, just like July 4th, which originated in the 1700s. Labor Day actually originated in the 1800s. I don't know if I have any material in front of me that can tell you exactly when it started, but it was the late 1886. So 100 years after we became a nation, officially a nation, with the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, we became concerned about our laborers, and Labor Day was created. I think it started in Chicago, but it really was all about, and it's a great day to celebrate our achievements as workers, as laborers, and it started at a time when things were a little dismal, and I think, you know, people keep saying, "Oh, this terrible year," this so forth, and then we're approaching another monumental date in history, which was 9/11, and so there's so many things to remind us, and so many of us are hooked on TV. I'm one of them. I have to remember to just turn it off and go take a walk and you know, refresh and breathe, and not be a Debbie Downer about it, right? This is the only life we've got. We want to smile and rejoice and so forth. Oh, let me open up my comments line. By the way, this is a live broadcast every Tuesday between 10 and 11, with a few exceptions, but mostly you're going to see me here every Tuesday between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the Travel Nurse Channel is here for everyone in healthcare, particularly dedicated to those that travel, those that employ travelers, anything to do with travel nursing and travel healthcare is our real goal, but we are open to everyone out there. And if you want to join the conversation, you can call that number 800-737-6518, and you can join me on the broadcast live yourself. Easy peasy to do that. In the meantime, if you're there watching, thank you. Tell your friends. And you can comment right now in real time, and I can respond as best I can. If I don't have an answer, if you have a question, I will get back to you in the next broadcast with an answer. I worked many Labor Days, and I thought, oh man, and I never was part of a union because I worked, I did agency work. I was always on staff until I became a mom and I got pregnant. I had to think about how am I going to incorporate my work life and my motherhood life. And what I did is I worked weekends, and Dad was the caretaker on the weekends. And we had a nanny like on Fridays. So I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 12-hour shifts is primarily how I did it. Before the 12-hour shifts were an option, my kids had daycare, and we did that twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then again, Dad on the weekends. So that's when I was doing my 8-hour shifts. Something like that. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, something like that. Anyway, so me and my children and my husband, we figured it out, and we all did what we needed to do. And oftentimes, because I worked so many weekends, and because the need was there, because health and wellness and illness and trauma, these things have no timeline. They happen when they happen, and it can be on a weekend or a holiday, etc., right? So I worked a lot of holidays. I tried very much not to work on Christmas because of the children, but I worked almost every other holiday. And so I worked so many Labor Days, and I always thought, yep, I'm part of the labor force. But we didn't have unions back in the day, and now we do. But it was, as I said, a dismal chapter when the decision was made and unions came into being in 1886. It started in Chicago, which is a big industrial city, big, beautiful city, actually on a river. And people were very poor, and there were many, many immigrants, and they weren't being treated right. And, you know, there's many, many books and history books and novels. Oh, I'm trying to think. Animal Farm, where you can learn lots and lots and lots about this and access all the information you want. But things weren't sanitary facility. They didn't. It was just all about the almighty dollar, and so people weren't treated fairly. There was a lot of manufacturing. There was a lot of factory kind of working, and agriculture as well, and just there was a need. There was a need, and it was satisfied by unions coming into being and being a watchdog for these many, many workers that were not doing very well in the industries that they were in, whether it was meat packing or manufacturing or lots of labor went into feeding big cities like Chicago. New York would be another one, and so forth. So so they started to march, and they started to make noise, and this happened in the 1880s, and they decided there should be a working man's holiday, similar to, and there's a couple of theories on Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, which was considered the workers' holiday. It's also a day to box everything up and clean up after Christmas, which in our household we never did, because my mom's tradition from her Catholic Hispanic, her people were from Spain and Cuba, was to, and in the church, is to celebrate the Epiphany when the three wise men came, which is January 6th. And so we kept all our holidays going, and our religious and commercial Christmas holidays going. Plus I had a brother born on December 26th, and another brother born on January 5th. So it was many, many reasons to celebrate and keep the Christmas tradition and holiday going, at least till the Epiphany, which was January 6th. But the Christmas season in the church even goes a little longer than that. Whatever, I'm not a history teacher. I'm here for the travelers. And so the first point I really wanted to make was to thank everyone who worked yesterday. And if you're working today, thank you. Thank you. We need you. We need travelers. We need staff people. We need per diem people. And you are the healthcare employees. You are the healthcare laborers. And Labor Day is in celebration of you. as much as it was in the 1800s for the people in the meat packing industry and the people doing all kinds of labor in the big cities, the immigrants and the poor and the laborers. Yeah, yeah. There, at that time in the 1800s in New York City, there was something like 10,000 workers that got involved in this labor movement. In Chicago, probably another 10,000. So anyway, it took a few years, but in 1894, I think 1886, 1894, there was finally, when did Labor Day become official? June 26th. The railroad people got involved. It was the 1890s, but it's still the 1800s. President Grover Cleveland signed into law and created our official Labor Day. So here we are in the 21st century, right? 2021 is actually the 21st century. So back in the 19th century, in the late 1800s, we started Labor Day. And I think it's still significant today. And that's why I wanted to reflect on it and see if anybody had anything they wanted to add or how they feel all the many Labor Days I worked. I recognize myself as a laborer. You're not a laborer lifting cows, lifting furniture, lifting like my grandpa, you know, he was a steam fitter and he worked and built the high rises in New York. He was an immigrant from Italy and he built high rises in New York. He lost one of his pinkies doing his labor. I can't say, I did labor. I mean, I had a patient with Pickwickian one time, and that was a 600-pound patient. But generally, most of your patients were average weights, you know, in the hundreds on up to the 300s, depending on their size and build. I did that kind of labor, making them comfortable, moving them, transferring them, and so forth. But, you know, wisely and with assist, as I'm sure all of you try to do and do. But a laborer nonetheless in the workforce, doing what needs to be done. And our labor often is a labor of love because we're passionate about healthcare and wellness. But we're also proud to be a part of that that labor, that group of, you know, we are part of a wide group of workers of the, you know, tens of thousands back then and hundreds of thousands now. Yeah. So I guess I really didn't do enough research. I was just thinking about it. It's Labor Day and our nurses are out there working. It's always celebrated on the first Monday of September. Oh, I have an interesting tidbit, a personal tidbit about Labor Day is that I had 3 children, one in 1980, one in 1982, and the last one was kind of the surprise in 1990. And she's my baby now. That gave me my grandchild. And anyway, but number 2 baby, my daughter Beth, my extraordinary, wonderful daughter Beth, was born on Labor Day. And that particular year, it was September 1st. The first Monday in September was September 1st. And she, interestingly enough, because my son was a very long labor and it was getting to be a little distressful for the baby and the fever with the mom and blah, blah, blah. And they opted, with my permission, because it was a very long deal. I can't remember when it started. It started at night. I went 24 hours. I reported to the hospital. I went like another, oh my goodness, like 20 hours or something in labor with Pitocin and so forth. And then things got difficult. So he was a C-section, not an emergency C-section, but a C-section. And because my second child was born in a short window of about 2 years and a couple of months, my Labor Day baby was born with no labor. She was a pre-planned C-section. My goodness. So Labor Day has that significance for me too, because my daughter was born on a Labor Day. But that holiday in America, and it's probably a lot of history about Labor Days in other countries as well, because there are lots of other industrial countries that did a lot of manufacturing and had some of the same issues we did in the 1800s with the cities filling up, people leaving the farms for various reasons, and migrating and immigrating and so forth. And the same problems we had were happening elsewhere. So I'm at other places. So I imagine there's more Labor Day history, or at least labor movements that occurred in other countries as well. Other holidays. Here's a little trivia about other holidays that fall on a Monday that puts us in good standing with some beautiful, wonderful other holidays in the United States that we celebrate. And one would be Martin Luther King Jr. Day. One would be President's Day, which originally was George Washington's birthday, our first president. But then, and I think February 16th, when I was a kid, like 60 some odd years ago, we had George Washington's birthday on a Monday in January, and then Abraham Lincoln's Monday holiday, or it wasn't a Monday holiday, it was on February 16th. But now, I think George Washington was January 22nd, and Abraham Lincoln was February 16th. And I really think a lot of these holidays that we memorialize and make into national holidays were created on the anniversaries of when these heroes died. I believe that occurs quite a bit. But at any rate, now we have President's Day, and it's technically a celebration, and it's on a Monday. It incorporated George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, two of our very prominent and historical presidents. Our first president and was Lincoln our 16th president? Oy, oy, oy. I don't know. I didn't do enough history search here. Memorial Day always falls on a Monday. Labor Day falls on a Monday. And in October, Columbus Day. So that's one of the next holidays to come our way, is Christopher Colombo. He discovered America, and so we celebrate him on a Monday. So Labor Day is in good standing with a lot of Monday holidays. And we as laborers often work those holidays. I worked all of them, many of them, for years and years and years and years. And I guess sometimes I felt sorry for myself, but really I am so grateful for the profession I chose, and that is still, I'm still passionate about it, and it still has served me and my clients and my employees and my employers. I'm grateful for all of it. So my career in nursing has been a long and varied one. It began in the 1970s when I went to school, graduated in 77, and probably worked most of these holidays that I mentioned since that time. I did not work yesterday, and I had a very relaxing one-on-one time with my dear, dear friend, and her son was around, and we just had fun. We started with brunch, and we were in her home. I brought the food, and some of the food, and then we worked our way into lunch and games and outdoors, and eventually finished with a nice meal. Everybody barbecues on these holidays because Labor Day has become kind of, the closing of summer to so many of us. We may not stop and think about the labor movement that occurred and how we got this holiday, but some of us do, some of us don't. Most of us put out our flags and wear red, white, and blue. But we do take all of these holidays, the President's holiday, the Memorial Day holiday, the Columbus Day holiday, and we celebrate. And how do we celebrate? By relaxing and spending time together with the people we love. So what happens to nurses and travelers and so forth that work these holidays, sometimes you celebrate the next day or the day before or when you have some time off. And I urge you to do that because it's sort of like reaching over and patting yourself on the back. I am a part of the workforce. I do labor. I do appreciate that 100 years ago or more, people that were laboring were recognized and unions were formed to honor them, to lift them out of some of the turmoil that they were experiencing, the poverty they were experiencing, and the terrible, is still all over the world, things going on that shouldn't go on. Children laborers, poor working conditions where people compromise their health to do the work for others to prosper, for us to have more tote bags, for us to have more clothing, for us to have more of everything. And so, so we really need to recognize others that recognize these things before us, presidents that signed into created the holidays by signing the documents that created the holidays as national holidays. And I just thought it was worth recognizing that we are a part of all of that, that we together share these experiences and these positions. So thank you. Thank you for all those who labor on so many holidays, and many of you are nurses, my compadres, my cohorts, and many of you are healthcare workers, doctors, physicians, specialists, CNAs, medical assistants, LVNs, respiratory therapists, physical therapists, speech pathologists. I consider you my brethren, and I respect you, and I thank you for the work you do, especially on Labor Day, on all these Monday holidays. So I hope you take a moment, if you worked yesterday and you're not working today, to relax, to do something, to do self-care, to reward yourself in some way, whether it's sleeping in or having your favorite adult beverage or your favorite ice cream cone or a barbecue. I think you earned it. And I think it's good to have, it's wonderful to be a good, strong worker and work hard and be appreciated. But it's also important to have your downtime, to just chill, like, read a dumb novel or take an extra long walk, or, it is the end of summer. If you're having nice weather, we did not have nice weather in Southern California. We had big old riptides, so the water was a little dangerous for the average swimmer. So I was happy to just sit, and in the hazy weather that we had yesterday, that was relatively comfortable, not too humid, and be with a friend. It was wonderful. And her son, her wonderful son. So I wish I could show you some of the photos. There's beautiful Labor Day parades that occur. Let's see if I can pull some up. I'm not going to be able to pull them up. But, the march that began way back in the 1800s, the steel workers and the manufacturing workers and the people working in the meat packing industry. Good gravy. I wish I could show you some pictures. Well, I wonder. I don't know. Because I have two computers. Let's see. I have I have about a dozen pictures here that I think are interesting. You see people working. Are there any parade pictures? I love a parade. Generally, the parades that I've been involved in, my kids have been involved in, and that I've attended are usually the 4th of July parades. I remember that from being a kid. I lived on 32nd Avenue off a big boulevard called Francis Lewis Boulevard. I should look up Francis Lewis someday. I'm sure he had something to do with founding our town. But it came right by our house on 32nd Avenue for years and years and years. they get out our little mini kid chairs. There were these little wooden garden chairs, and my sister and I, and we'd wave flags, and my brothers came along, and they'd wave flags, and we'd watch the parade go right by our house. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to show you these pictures. It is marching and banner holding, and I see flags that are the United States flag, the Union Jack flag. I can't tell. There are various flags, people parading the American flag. And no, I'm not getting much of a photo gallery. In this one beautiful picture before the article, it's flags old and new. You see stars and stripes and red and white stripes and white stars on blue background. And you see wrenches, and you see tools and hammers and grease. And think of all the tools of our trade, right? The MRI machines and the stethoscopes and the monitors and the computers and all the different things, you know, the ultrasound machines, all the different things, all the tools of our trade. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's worth remembering. It's worth dedicating a few moments of thought to, and maybe with gratitude, maybe with weariness, but to honor it and celebrate it at some point. I encourage that. I encourage that. And I am truly, truly grateful for everybody out there in the travel nurse and the travel healthcare realm. You're so valuable and important, and I appreciate you, and others appreciate you. You may not hear it often enough, but I thought this would be a good day to say thank you for your labors, whether they be physical, cognitive, mental, time, the time you put in on the job, getting to the job, arranging your travel assignments, working with your recruiters. Every piece of it is a piece of you that you've given. And thank you. That's what I want to say. I wish I had a joke. I wish there was a Labor Day joke, but it's not a joking matter. It's a reverent thing. And I'm not getting any comments. I thought I opened the comments line. Let me click it again. Yeah. So we're here every Tuesday. It's the Travel Nurse Channel. I'm your host, Rita King, and I hope to have guests for you. I am talking to nurse authors. There is a remarkable number of nurse authors. Some are blogging, some have a novel, some have many novels, some are talking about life in the ICU, things they learned as a nurse, reflections they have at the end of their career that made them want to write. So I'm talking to all these wonderful nurses out there, and if there are any of you that have authored anything that has to do with healthcare, with travel healthcare, that you think would be of interest, please, please contact me. I am Rita at thetravelnursechannel.com. No, rita.travelnursechannel.com. RITA at travelnursechannel.com. You can also contact me at rita at allstarstaffing.com. That's my old nursing company, my per diem / travel nurse company that I had for many years, and I kept that email, so I use that all the time. And you can call 800-737-6518, or you could come right now on Facebook and say, hi, I want to talk to you. I want to be on the broadcast, because we all appreciate learning and sharing for each other's benefit. So that's why I host it every week. That's why I try to have guests for you that may interest you. And these books here behind me are more about the business of nursing and being good at business. And so those aren't really, none of those were authored by nurses. But I do have a bunch of books that are authored by nurses, and I am pursuing these authors so that they can share with you what they have to say And their books, some of them are really bestsellers, fabulous. So I think I'll sign off, and I hope you had a great holiday. If you worked, I thank you. Make sure you treat yourself to something like an ice cream cone or something. I'm going to sign off with my favorite little nurse, and see you again next Tuesday. I might surprise you with a guest. Thank you so much. Hang in there. Getting a commercial here. Cute little nurse. Something's... Ah, my wiring got caught. Okay, here we go. Bye.
Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.